So you're looking after the drink stand now. If I'd known sooner, I would have stopped by this morning. I've got to say, I'm getting curious. I've heard a lot about your mixology skills. I wonder what kinds of drinks you can mix with the ingredients Glenfiddich has prepared. I don't have much of a choice. It's just one thing after another right now. First off, the Knights of Favonius annual combat assessment is coming up. And this year, the standards are higher than ever. As the captain of the reconnaissance company, I have to lead by example. At the very least, I need to rank as one of the top 3 captains in the practical portion. So, I've been intensifying my training lately. Being a descendant of sinners means I have to work hard to maintain my position. I'll have you know I've never once neglected my duties. Anyway, on top of all that, the General Affairs Company has invited a renowned champion duelist from the court of Fontaine to come here for a swordsmanship exchange. Since I'm one of the captains with the highest attendance rate when it comes to these things, and I'm fairly skilled with a claymore, I was chosen as a representative. I have to prepare thoroughly to make sure I'm a serious match for the champion duelist. And then after the exchange, I need to write at least 6 different reports based on the results. Oh, I sure could. Anything that'll perk me up would be welcome. I'll leave the details to you.
One twinkling starlight for Captain Eula. Hope you like it.
Judging by your confident tone, I'm certain I will. Well then, I'll make sure to savor this thoroughly. Huh, not bad. Sweet and tingly, with a delightful airiness. The fizzy water really brings it to life. certainly feel full of vim and vigor. But just one glass doesn't quite scratch the itch. How about something with a bit more bite? Don't hold back. You don't need to worry about putting me on the floor with nothing but a couple of drinks. Works for me. The first company hasn't assigned me any paperwork for tonight, so I'm free to catch up and try your new creations at my leisure. That's right. The merchant I got it from called it Romaritime flower fruit extract. It has a very unique smell. Here, have a bottle. Oh, it's a necessary courtesy. In that book Miss Magistus lent me, The Blade Dancer, 20 Years On, it says, after a duel, a Fontanian swordsman will politely invite their defeated opponents to a banquet. To properly play host to Miss Clarande, I searched for quite some time to locate a rare goods merchant in Dorman Port who sold this juice. I had my doubts at first, too. But Amber said something that makes a lot of sense. She said that even if this custom doesn't really exist, following it still shows I've made an effort to understand Fontaine's cultural heritage. Besides, who doesn't like trying new things, right? I'll treat Miss Clarande to this juice at our post-training banquet. Yes, I have. For a while, the situation there was difficult. A gang of outlaw engineers was messing about with some sort of mechanism control technology, attempting to manipulate ruin graders so they could rob merchant caravans. To make matters worse, several veteran knights who had been stationed at Dorman Port were transferred to my squad, and they weren't happy to be taking orders from that Lawrence girl. Leading them on this mission was quite eventful. It took 3 weeks of stealth operations in the snow, with no fires to keep us warm, before we finally located the enemy's stronghold. Those veteran knights faced the bitter cold and were almost taken down by the enemy's smuggled battle mechs. Fortunately, the battle went our way, and they had no choice but to acknowledge my abilities. Me? I'm completely fine. But thank you for your concern. It was mentally tiring for sure, but fortunately, the operation wore them down far more than it did me. They won't be questioning my authority again anytime soon. If any new recruits try to make my life difficult, I'll just have my veterans give them a few friendly pointers. I guess you could call them a permanent solution, huh? Oh my. To be honest, I'm eager to begin, but also a little nervous. Miss Cloran's combat style comes from the mysterious Marechaussee hunters. In the library, there are some old Fontanian newspapers from hundreds of years ago that give some idea of how formidable an organization it was. A more recent newspaper claimed that Miss Cloran was an orphan from an underwater kingdom, and that before battle she would perform rituals inviting spirits to possess her sword. Assuming these rumors are true, or that Miss Cloran's abilities might even be more extraordinary than that, it's important that I'm prepared for anything. Incorporating elements of swordsmanship into a drink? Huh. Certainly a creative idea, I'll give you that. I sure could do with an energy boost, but how do you plan to express something like swordsmanship with a cocktail? That definitely matches the description I read in that book. That's right. You really know your stuff. I doubt there's anyone else in all of Tevat who could come up with such a perfect metaphor. There's no need to make it sound so fancy. It's just an aristocratic variant of Favonius bladework, with a bit of personal flair. Firewater. In recent years, firewaters gained popularity the world over, following in the wake of prosperous Snezhnayan merchants. These days, almost every tavern has a signature drink that uses it as a base. You really are good. Why don't we try replacing the fruit wine with firewater? As for the alcohol content, that's not a problem. Plenty of the expedition team may have drunk themselves senseless with firewater. But me, I'm full of confidence. If you want to know what I've been eating recently, I'd better start by mentioning the logistics company's latest revolution. They launched a diet improvement initiative and started distributing a form of standardized canned food to knights operating in the wilderness. In the past, we only had dry rations. Every mealtime we had to set up pots and campfires, roll dice to choose a cook, and take turns standing guard. In all honesty, it was a bit of a hassle. Now we just need to bring our standard field rations, comprising of 5 cans and 9 paper packages. We can heat the cans by the campfire, and then we're ready to eat. You did say, sounds like, right? Our canned food supplier has quite the stellar reputation, and their regular meals are indeed quite good. The problem is, in order to meet preservation standards, they have to make their military-grade meals way too salty. The vice captain of the 5th Company, who has a somewhat dry sense of humor, went so far as to say, "This food's bad enough to bring down the wrath of Li Yue's stove god." In any case, after eating it for a week, my taste buds have gone completely numb. You can hardly blame the logistics company. After all, it is hard to please everyone. Our feedback has already been submitted, and they should be working on fixing the issue. Of course, having fresh meals prepared in camp by a dedicated company chef is still the best option. Brilliant! I'm looking forward to seeing how you do.
Here's your all-new Seafoam Sword Song, mixed to meet your personal preferences.
Oh my, what beautiful colors! And you even added my romaritime flower fruit extract. The aroma is perfect, and I can smell the alcohol, but it doesn't stifle the fruity fragrance. Let's see how it tastes. Give me a moment to come up with the right words. I need to think carefully. I know it's unbecoming of a lady, and a proper connoisseur would savor their drink slowly. But I'm sorry, this is just too good to be true. Can you mix me another? Ah. Oh, no, what was I going to say? I've completely lost my train of thought. Whatever. I feel fantastic. This cocktail... Oh, it's the best I've ever had. I think I'm gonna head home and get some sleep. Don't worry about me. This is the happiest tipsy I've been in years. I'm still far from being drunk. By the time I've gone a few rounds with that, Miss Chlorine, and completed my reports, I'll have been on duty for 3 months straight. Jean, the acting grandmaster. Isn't it about time she gave me some time off? I won't be forgetting this injustice in a hurry. You mark my words.